a guy losing at a historic rate with his picks, but it's for the greater good. That is Sheil Kapadia of The Ringer. Sheil joins us now. What's up, Sheil?
I'm glad you mentioned for the greater good, so I didn't have to explain myself, Spike. Thank you.
Yeah, come on, man. We explain it for you, and we appreciate it. Before we get to the Eagles with you, you're a Philly guy through and through, and on your podcast you talk about the Phillies as well. This is the free agency in baseball, different than the other sports, in that we don't expect a wave of signings, but we're using today sort of as a jump off point to talk about the offseason. If you were to, if I did these two categories for you, one, the Phillies, re-sign Schwarber to a big contract, maybe sign another big contract and go after it next year, or take this year to maybe reset a little bit and think about the next 5 years. Which approach do you think is the right one for the Phillies?
Go for it. Come on. They won 96 games last year. There's no reset. There were too many years of bad baseball. It guarantees nothing. So, yeah, I would want Schwarber back. I do want some changes. I do want a better outfield. But, I mean, a reset year, now all of a sudden a bunch of these guys are getting older. So I don't even know what that means with guys like Turner and Harper. So I don't think you can waste a year with this core. So I say go for it.
Smart man, Sheil.
Spoken like a true football guy.
Man.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Life is too short to waste a year when you have a chance. And they do have a chance.
Life's too short to be cheering for $150 million worth of 36-year-olds in 2 years.
Well, listen, I might not be around. Listen, I just said life's short.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I might not even be watching baseball anymore. So, yeah, just right now, go for it.
Meanwhile, the older I get, the funnier it sounds to say, 36-year-olds, I'm 49. Yeah. So what'd you think of the Jaelan Phillips acquisition, and how much do you think he helps the Eagles?
I liked it. I thought it was a home run, especially when you look at the other guys who were available at the trade deadline and what some of the compensation was. So I think anytime you make an in-season trade, you're worried about, well, how is this guy going to fit? Do they have a plan for him? We've seen that with guys in the past, Robert Quinn, even Golden Tate back in the day. Here, your defensive coordinator already coached the guy. Your defensive coordinator is very rigid in what he wants out of certain positions. And so I feel confident that he's going to have a way to make it work with Jaelan Phillips. And one thing I didn't realize about him that I liked as I was kind of, watching his film this week is that not only is he an edge rusher, but on third down for them, he would line up inside at times and looked really good rushing the passer against guards, against centers, very slippery, big enough to do that, strong enough to do that in there. So I think he does provide some versatility. And I thought it was a good move by the Eagles.
That's interesting that he did that. When I look at him, I don't see a guy that is, big enough to do those sorts of things. Maybe I'm just so used to seeing, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, these big guys on the inside. But that is an added wrinkle. And, that is one thing that Vic does, is he likes moving guys around and putting extra guys on the line of scrimmage. And if you can put Phillips on the inside, then maybe you can even throw Bond or something on the outside, put 5 guys on the line. I guess his versatility could add some extra different things they could do. Gives
them some options, yeah, no doubt about it.
Is he a guy, now given the injury history, the concussions in college, the Achilles, the ACL, we all look at him being at 26 years old. Is he a guy that could be here? Is that something you're worrying about after the year? I mean, what do you think about him as a future piece for the Eagles, given those things?
I think he's a very tricky guy to commit a lot of long-term money to because of the injury history. Now, they've taken chances on guys before, even in the draft, Nakobe Dean, even Jahad Campbell last year, where other teams said, we got a red flag on this guy. And they said, nope, we're confident that they're going to be healthy enough. So we always are at kind of an information deficit. But what you mentioned there, I mean, is real. He had concussions in college to the point where he was advised to stop playing football and kind of stepped away and then came back, and then the injuries he's had in the NFL so far. So I think you probably need some protection if you're going to sign him to a long-term deal. And he might say, well, I have other options out there where I get more guaranteed money regardless of that. So I don't think it's something I would be surprised basically if they did that in season or were very aggressive about it. I would think it's something like, let's see how the rest of the season plays out here. Let's see what he looks like in the playoffs, what kind of fit he is, what the market is for him once we get to February and March, and then make a decision then. But, it's a position of need. He's at an age where those are the types of players you're looking for, and he could be a scheme fit. So I think it's possible, but I don't think they would be aggressive in doing that right now.
They also, Sheil, brought in Jair Alexander and Michael Carter II. I'm still not sure how either one of these guys are going to be used. I don't even know if Alexander can even play. They gave up late draft picks for him, so they didn't give up a huge haul to get both guys in here. I'm just wondering, how do you think how will they fit from a personnel standpoint and what Vic Fangio wants to do?
It feels to me like Fangio probably somewhere in that building has like 100 different combinations of this is potentially what my secondary could look like. And these moves kind of just added to that. I don't think he knows what the secondary is going to look like once we get to December. So Alexander's a complete dart throw. I mean, in his prime, I think he was a top 5 corner in the NFL, but just the injuries have taken their toll on him. I mean, he played in week 1 for the Ravens, and then he only played in one other game the rest of the season. And remember, that was a defense that was struggling. Like they had been performing like one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So if they looked at it and said, he's not a guy who can help us right now, that just makes me skeptical that he's going to come in right away and play outside corner for you and be a great player. It could happen. It would be a great story if it happened. I don't think that's the most likely outcome. So I'm kind of with you there, Ike, that, we'll see, but that's probably not the most likely scenario. With Carter, I think it gives you the option to play Cooper DeJean on the outside. Now, I don't think Vic Fangio wants to do that. I don't want them to do that because he's so good in the nickel and he really fills a role for you there in the middle of this defense where he can play the run, where he can make plays in the middle of the field. But I think they're looking at this going, man, if none of these outside corners work out, we might come to a point here in the next few weeks, in the next month, once we get to the playoffs, whatever it is, where we say, hey, we just got to move DeJean to the outside. Who's playing nickel for us? And they might look at it and say, hey, Carter's a guy, he's not going to be as good as DeJean in there, but he can give us a quality starting slot corner, and that might just be our best combination.
So here's a name I hadn't thought about in a while, and I don't know if you have, so I don't even know if you're prepared to discuss it. Zach Berman just reported that the Eagles opened the practice window for Willie Lampkin, the offensive lineman that they signed, in training camp. But it was
Willie Lampkin.
So it was controversial because what happened was I guess the Eagles did something that you're not really supposed to do, is claim a guy. He was on the Rams and he had a lot of potential,
and they were upset about that.
They were upset.
They waived him for an injury, right?
Yeah, but they were going to bring him back, and it was one of those things where they waived him, assumed they would bring him back, but the Eagles claimed him.
Right.
Now he has a lot of potential. Do you remember, looking at any tape of Willie Lampkin? They could use another offensive lineman in their rotation. And I know you might not be prepared to talk about it, but is any thoughts on him being active potentially?
I believe he's the shortest offensive lineman in the NFL. You could look up the height for me. Yeah, I think he's short. Like, this is the reason. Like, I think people liked his tape in college, but they were just like, there's no center. I think, he's a center. There's no center in the NFL this short. There hasn't been in the entire NFL. So I think he went undrafted because of that. And I don't think he's someone who's going to play for you unless multiple guys get injured.
He is the shortest, yes.
Wow. Okay, can the guy get a height?
5'10".
Oh, my God.
And one of the shortest in NFL history.
Dude,
really?
A 5'10" lineman?
Well, Jaelan can see over him. I
hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I don't know. It just makes
this is the new market inefficiencies, Mike. I like this.
Well, we haven't seen the injury.
Short interior offensive lineman.
Well, we haven't seen the injury report yet, but it makes me wonder about Cam Jurgens,
right.
And because we've seen Toth play well at center. I don't know. It seemed like there was some potential for him there, which is the only reason that the name.
I didn't know he was 5'10".
5'10", 5'11". What's the difference?
I've never
basically
seen
60.
a 5'10" lineman.
Stop
not since
acting
I was
like
in
he's
high school.
Nobody
maybe,
has in the NFL. Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good height, to be honest with you. Sheil, before I want to give you a couple of over-unders. We were doing this yesterday. Just at the midpoint of the season, do you think the Eagles are like a tier above? I'm trying to get the tiers in the NFC. There's the Eagles, there's the Lions, there's the Rams, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Bucks, maybe Niners to an extent. Do you think the Eagles are right there with the Rams, the Seahawks? Do you think they're above? How do you sort of have the tiers in the NFC right now?
If I had to pick one team right now to get to the Super Bowl from the NFC. I think the Eagles are the favorites. I think the betting markets tell you they're the favorites, but I don't have them in their own tier. So the teams you mentioned, I would have Eagles, Rams, Packers, Lions, and Seahawks in the top tier. I think there are 5 teams where I look at it and say you could make a case for any of these teams to be the best team in the NFC right now. You can make a case for any of these teams to get to the Super Bowl, and I think it's reasonable. After that, I think there's a drop-off there. So, yeah, I have them in that top tier in the NFC, and if you made me pick a team right now, I would pick them, but I'll admit I change my mind on that every couple weeks, and who knows how the next 2 weeks go against the Packers and the Lions. I might change my mind again.
It's been a while since the NFC has been the stronger conference.
Yeah, and it
that
seems
time
like it is.
Oh, it's no doubt they're the deeper conference.
Yeah,
it's like 8 teams right now that have like 5 or 6 wins in this conference. So the AFC is top heavy, but the NFC is pretty deep.
Yeah. And even top heavy. I mean, it's 2 teams. It's just because of the quarterbacks for the Bills and the Chiefs. Honestly,
yes.
I don't think anyone looks at it and says, "Oh my gosh, the Eagles couldn't compete with the Colts," or they lost to the Broncos. But obviously, that was not a game where you looked at it and said, "Oh, the Broncos are a better team than the Eagles." So yeah, I'm with you.
All right, quick over unders. Eagles have 9 more games left. Over under 6.5 more wins.
6.5 more wins. So right
now
they have how many wins?
They're 6-2.
So I have them. Okay, so I did this earlier, and I have them at 12-5. So I'm going to go under 6.5.
Okay, Saquon Barkley I think has 391 rushing yards through 8 games. 1150 would be the over under.
11. Ooh, that's a high. You know what? I'm going to go over. My bold prediction is that Saquon Barkley is going to be a monster from now till the end of the season. I think they figured stuff out in the run game. I think Landon Dickerson being healthy was a huge deal. So you never know with injury stuff, but I know he had the little groin thing a couple weeks ago. Other than that, he's been healthy. And so I actually think he's going to have a big second half. So I'm going to go over.
All right. So Eagles play at the Packers on Monday night. The Eagles, last time I checked, were 2.5-point underdogs. Now, you are picking against the Eagles for us every week, just like I am, because it is good luck. I want your pick on this, but I truly want to know if you think they're going to lose or not. Your official pick is going to be Packers, but I do actually want to know what you think.
Okay. This is a good way to do it. You set me up nicely, Spike. Thank you. You know, you're not just making me look bad for my record. I appreciate that.
Right.
I think the Packers A game or A+ game is as good as any team in the NFL. I also think they're one of the streakiest teams in the NFL, where if you tune in 1 week, 1 quarter, 1 half, you go, why is anyone hyping this team up? They're playing with their food and they look like an average team. I mean, we just saw that last week with them against the Carolina Panthers. They lost to the Browns earlier this season. They've had these moments or these games where you just say, no, they're not that team. So explosive plays are a big deal with the Packers. That's what they're best at offensively. That's what they're best at preventing defensively. But down to down, there hasn't totally been that consistency. So I think you got to have a plan for Micah Parsons. There's no doubt about that in your pass protection. I think you can run the football on this team. I think the Eagles will come out with that 6th offensive lineman under center, and I think they'll try to run the football a lot early in this game. And then defensively, like I said, you just got to limit those explosive plays. They lost their tight end, Tucker Kraft, who I thought was the best tight end in the NFL this season. And so that's a big, big deal for that offense. So I look at it, and I like the Eagles in this spot, honestly, where I think they go there as underdogs. I trust them more. I think they're more reliable with what they found here in the last 2 to 3 weeks. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think these are two of the best teams in the NFL, quite honestly, maybe obviously 2 of the best teams in the NFC. I think they both can win the Super Bowl this season. But I think the Eagles are going to go in there, run the football, be efficient offensively.
And, of course, lose.
26-23. Eagles,
no,
but yes.
You're going a little far. I said you could.
I'm not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
I'm still learning here.
Yes, you're going a little far. Now give your official prediction. All that said, all that positivity about the Eagles.
24-23 Packers, of course, is my official pick.
There we go. All right. Thank you, Sheil.
Good sport.
Remember, this is for Philadelphia. You are,
That's
Philadelphia.
Right.
Good sport.
All right. Thank you, Sheil.
You guys next
brother.
week.
There is Sheil Kapadia, the Ring.